So I know I'm a little bit late with this video. You know that scene of Jumanji where that whole stampede is running out to get all the main cast, and then that little animal comes tiptoeing by after everybody else has already finished passing? Yeah, that's kind of me right now. Greetings fellow Vita fans, this is James with PS Vita at 2 AM coming at you once again with another exciting video. And if you're new here and love everything PlayStation Vita, don't forget to subscribe. Sony's own Jim Ryan says that the PlayStation Vita is a business that we're no longer in, and thus confirming we will not be getting a PlayStation Vita 2. He mentioned this weeks ago. Yeah, told you this video was late. And this video is just going to be dedicated to my thoughts about that. Nothing confirmed, nothing speculated, just what I personally think about this whole situation, as well as an open letter to you-know-who. The source I'm citing here is from DualShockers, and honestly you can find this pretty much anywhere on the web and multiple sites. And I love how on the subject line here they say apparently Vita doesn't mean life after all. Yeah, it only means 8 years of life after being considered a commercial failure. Because that's nothing, right? And I guess we'll get the most obvious feeling out of the way, and that is, well, disappointment. I think me, much like many of you out there, are kind of let down by this news. I know that I, for one, have been wanting for Sony to make a new portable handheld for quite some time now, even during the Vita's prime. I had multiple dreams about it and everything. I just felt that the Vita was awesome enough to have a successor. And since Sony had so little interest in the handheld, I figured, well, yeah, why not make a new one? Hold my gosh darn root beer, Sony. Okay, now to start things off, the first part of this video. Did I personally think that Sony was going to give us a spiritual successor to the PlayStation Vita? Or PSP, depending on how you look at it? Let the meme speak for itself. No, unfortunately, I did not. Based on the way they seem to have just such disinterest in the handheld market in general, kind of like me with women, and the lack of support that I had just mentioned from the PlayStation Vita itself, yeah, I wasn't expecting that they were going to go through the trouble of making a brand new handheld when they didn't even care about the other one they had just made. I know that there was some speculation going around about certain patents, especially that one that had come at the tail end of this year at the supposed cartridge-based patent, and honestly guys, I'm just going to be real here, a lot of times these gaming companies put patents on things that they don't even do anything with, kind of like me and Google Stadia. Oh snap, I totally went there. In fact, regarding this particular rumor, I had even less faith in it because I had found out later on that the individual who put down the patent for this was the same one that did it for that Sony gaming toy over in Japan. Can't remember the dude's name at the moment, but he's not going to make a new PlayStation Vita 2, so his name doesn't matter anyway. And since everyone was thinking that that was associated with the PlayStation Vita and it was from the same guy, I figured this wasn't either as well. But putting all that aside, I think it would have been great for just the handheld community in general. Yes, we all know that the Switch is making bank now with Nintendo's newest hybrid console, but I always think that variety is the spice of life and competition is a good thing. And so are choices. Giving somebody another alternative at a handheld out there, at least as far as one from a mainstream company, is always a good thing. And personally speaking here, I think Sony is making a very huge mistake at this. Big surprise, right? I know that they're thinking that the Switch competition might be a little rough now, not to mention the mobile gaming market in general, and in hindsight, yeah, it probably is. But oh boy, we'll open that can of worms later. However, here's a tip. Unlike with the PlayStation Vita, if you actually promoted the darn thing, Sony, maybe put a few more commercials out there. Seriously, back when the Vita first came out, I saw little to no ads on the TV. There was even apparently a Taco Bell PlayStation Vita promo commercial that I don't even remember seeing. I had to look it up on YouTube. I mean, maybe it did play, but I certainly never saw it. So I think you see what I'm getting at here. If you actually promote the darn thing, yes, I said darn twice in the same video. That's how upset I am. Apologies for my sailor talk. Lower the cost of memory cards, and I know you're doing it to thwart piracy, but let's face it, in today's day and age, no matter what you make, it's gonna be hacked eventually. If you did just those two things alone with a new console or a handheld, then yeah, I think you'd have a success on your hand. I said the word console back there because the PlayStation Vita TV is technically a thing, and believe it or not, that was handled even much worse than the Vita itself, if you can believe that. Hashtag I can't believe that. Now, would you be able to beat the Switch? Well, I don't know if I would go that far, but you would at least be able to have a good, decent percentage of the handheld market. And most of the negative things that have happened to the Vita in the past, I mean, you gotta admit, it's really just all on Sony. They chose not to market it, they chose not to develop games for it, they chose not to support it, they chose to make me rack up my therapy bills, causing many AAA developers out there to jump ship, and when taking all these these things into consideration, what can you really expect? And they've even tried to go on record in the past of saying that the mobile market is the reason why the climate is not healthy for this platform, when you know it's not true. Yep, here comes that can of worms I mentioned, because again, the Switch proved that there is a market for the handheld. True, I know it's a hybrid, but now with the Switch Lite, you can see my point here. It's just you shooting yourself in the foot, Sony. And I think making a new handheld, one that you treated properly, would be in fact a success. In fact, I'll even go even further than that and say that if you were to, let's say, figuratively speaking here of course, revive the PlayStation Vita, manufacture it again, start developing games for it, yeah, I know it's 2011 technology, so it has its limits obviously, you still would be able to pull in a profit. I mean, the community is right smack dab there in front of you, just waiting to give you our pesos, our money, our dineros for a new handheld. Or at least I am anyway. I don't know why I said it in so many different denominations. But again, you just choose not to. And I know so many in the PlayStation Vita community have already said this time and time again, but I'll just say it here now. The Vita didn't fail Sony, Sony failed the Vita. And you might be thinking at this point that I hate Sony, but no, believe me, I don't. They're one of my favorite gaming companies of all time. They've given us some tremendously great things in the past, Vita included. I just hate the things that they've put the Vita through over the years, because it's an excellent handheld that deserved far more than it got. That being said though, the things we did get and the fact that it's still going strong now even in the end of 2019, that really says something about the passionate community. Most gaming devices that are considered financial failures from the beginning don't last more than a couple of years before being fully discontinued and forgotten. Yet, here we are almost into the year 2020 and we're still getting games for it, even despite the fact that the handheld itself has been discontinued. And as my closing words for this video, if you are one of the individuals who is still expecting that Sony will be making a PlayStation Vita 2, I would say don't beat yourself up about it. Just enjoy what the Vita has to offer now, and the PSP, and the excellent homebrew community that is around both of these platforms. We have more than enough to keep us occupied for the time being. And hey, when and if it happens, it happens. So yeah, let me know what you think, however. Do you agree with some of my statements? Do you think that Sony still is secretly making something? Conspiracy Central! Or are you like me and think that it's pretty much over, at least for the time being anyway? I couldn't see Sony never making another handheld again. AKA not Conspiracy Central! The gaming market is always constantly changing, thus I think we will see one from them eventually one day. Just not anytime soon. But that's just one person's opinion. Let me know what you think. And as always, fellow Vita fans, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It really means a lot to me. Love you all, and I'll see you next time. The following video has been brought to you in part by all of these wonderfully generous people, including Matt Fox, Mango Man, Reiko Star, Fo-D, Mario Cruz, Jelle, Buzz Saiyan, Richard Cruz, Dennis R. Huggins Jr., Adam Sondi, Hero Acer, Rodrigo Vera, Aaron Swanson, Heston Joseph, Kevin Enright, Jared Haddo, Joshua Williams, Ruben Gutierrez, BMF, Sculpture Tugel TCG, Adam Thury, Pierre Sterner, E-Rock, JR, Kyle Brooks, Saul Ramirez, and Phantom XRS. If you yourself would be interested in supporting the channel, check the links down in the description below. I have various ways for you to do so down there. And don't worry, I know you won't fail me, unlike a certain gaming company with a certain handheld.